Very good afternoon. If we have too much of lunch and desserts, there's pin drop silence. A very good afternoon. Yeah, thank you so much. The pin drop silence was a bit scary, but anyways. So, okay, welcome to this an engaging panel discussion on redesigning assessment methods and fostering problem solving and critical thinking skills. In an ever-changing world, especially in today's times, it's imperative that as academicians, as head of the education institutions, we teach our students not only on academic skills, but also on essential life skills, which are required when the students actually face the industry. We are trying to understand, we are trying to use old models of assessments. When we're talking about today's context, we talk about VUCA. All of us have heard, right? In 1987, the American War College coined this term volatile, uncertain, complex ambiguity. While people have been talking VUCA, but it is considered as a past. Now we're talking about Barney model. Brittle, anxious, nonlinear, incomprehensible. Because VUCA talks about current and Barney talks about future. So as academicians, how are we trying to assess these students using our old traditional styles? Summative assessments, formative assessment, diagnostic assessments. And we have seen that in the education space, the last 3 years have seen has gone through a sea change. 2021, all of us know we started online education, right? Post-COVID, all of us are aware. 2022, we started hybrid education, which was again a game changer, never heard. Hybrid education. 2023, there is a paradigm shift in academics in terms of teaching learning process. So what are we seeing is there's a rapid shift going on in the education industry. Now let's hear from our external experts, expert panelists, what they have got to say, what are their views on assessing students. So my first question goes to Dr. Srinivasa Rao sir. What are your views on current types of assessment methods used? Is there a need for change in assessments, or can we continue on with the same assessment models?
Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this panel. If you look at the arena of higher education, what we find is, to a great extent, the regular examination patterns, I think, which completely overwhelm the whole systems of higher education. The colleges and universities, all the time, busy with some kind of examination or the other. It makes actually higher education system a system of examination rather than a system of education. We would not know what exactly we mean by higher in the higher education. Why do we call this as higher? At all. Actually, what is the idea of higher education at all? In the first place, how is it very different from the school arena? So therefore, I think the examination patterns that we follow at the school are supposed to be dismantled at the level of higher education, so that the higher education systems allow the emancipation of the mind. Actually, see, higher education is where you tend to kind of free the mind, enable it to think, make it actually more responsive to the society and its civilizational roles. And therefore, the entire methodology of our teaching learning at higher education has to completely undergo change in order to realize the goal of a society which is more kind of kind of liberating, in the sense of allowing the mind to function the way it wants to function, allowing it to kind of challenge itself, and by discovering the methods that suit its conditions and environments. So therefore, if we don't really allow the mind to free itself from the bondage of this kind of the examination systems, or think actually examinations in a different way. So the semester system that we tend to bring in over a period of time was expected to make some changes in terms of allowing the consistent engagement of the mind, liberated from that fear of examinations. You all know about Rabindranath Tagore's famous poem about where the mind is without fear. And what happens actually when the mind is without fear is that I think it tends to kind of puts itself actually into some kind of constructive problem solving methods, allows the creativity to flourish. And therefore, I think that brings in a society which is more innovative and actually allows itself to kind of discover new things. Actually, as the society changes, actually none of the changes are static, so we don't remain the same. Every year, every month, we keep seeing actually different kinds of challenges in front of us, and it is the role of the colleges, universities, and the entire higher education ecosystem to find new answers to these kinds of challenges. Now, it's very difficult actually to pinpoint that the change has to come from only the assessment methods in order actually to allow this critical thinking to flourish. It also has to be in the other realms of higher education, namely the curricular changes, the pedagogical changes, the role of the teacher. Actually, teacher has to be innovative and very different. But at the same time, I think what we find today in the classrooms is that we have large classroom structures. So when you have large classrooms, the teachers keep asking this question: how do we really inculcate these ideas of critical thinking? We can't even have the contact with the children. We can't even see the child, and it's very difficult to communicate to the child when the class is big. So I do understand that there are challenges when you expand, and our higher education system has been expanding tremendously over the years. And at the same time, we are not really innovating different kinds of methods actually which will suit our requirements. I feel actually that this is the way forward actually to look at different kinds of aspects of higher education rather than only assessment methods.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Prof. Rao. And yes, you rightly kind of repeat that it's a teamwork at the end of the day. All the tools have to work to bring about a revolution, a change. And very rightly said that today's teachers have to change with the changing times. And now connecting this to my next question would be in terms of EdTech technology. We all know how the EdTech technology has actually created a boom in the market in the minds of the students, in the minds of the teachers. We're talking about flexible learning. We're talking about multimedia, where children are able to learn through YouTube videos. I mean, we're talking about augmented reality, AI, ML, mixed reality, where the students are able, and we're also talking about metaverse. A report from a World Economic Forum says by 2030, every one of us will be spending more than 60 minutes on metaverse. So the point is, as teachers, we need to be 10 steps ahead in terms of understanding the technology and how do we utilize this technology to give a best learner experience. And secondly, I think today it's more of a teacher. We are playing the role of a facilitator. During our times when we was young, yes, we went to school, there no internet, no Google, just teachers, whatever she taught. And yes, we listened and patiently and came back home. Today, students, plethora of information is available. Flexible, we are talking about asynchronous learning. They want to learn at their own pace, own speed, and whatever content they want. That's the reason with NEP, we have this ABC, we have the cafeteria model in NEP 2020, where children and students can choose the subjects they want. So keeping these EdTech tools in mind, so my next question will go to Prof. Ram. Okay, maybe any one of you can just take this question, sir. That how these digital tools can actually revolutionize assessments and support hybrid learning.
I would like to take this question. Thanks.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Myself, Dr. Pankaj Kumar Mishra. I am Pro Vice Chancellor to Glocal University, Saharanpur. Our university is situated in a very rural kind of area, and we are struggling hard for the good intake also. And we are basically really working for the student, those who are in the need. And if we talk about the technology and all, let me take the lines of Richard Riley, former Secretary of Education, that we are currently preparing students for jobs that don't yet exist, using technologies that haven't been invented in order to solve problems we don't even know are problems yet. Maybe last 6 months, 7 months, there was a lots of buzz regarding the chat GPT. Many speakers since morning were talking about that the story of chat GPT 3, 4 and many other things. Google Bard is also coming and Apple's is also coming and many other stories are coming. But the main point of the education technology are the students' perspective about the technologies are really changing a lot. Even my 6-year-old kid is more faster, more smarter than me in handling the tabs and the smartphones and MacBooks what I have. So they are really smart. They can handle it very properly. But the question about our education system, either it's a school education system or a higher education system, we are again focusing on the last stories of the Macaulay's education system, what he has built, that let's create an ecosystem where the Indians will feel Indians will feel sorry that their education system is nothing and our education system is great. And ultimately, they need the clerks, and we are producing the clerks having the no skills. I think last 5-6 years back, there was a big survey of for the from the Prime Minister's office or some other offices. I don't know the exact source about the skills, skill men force what our university is producing. So they have found around less than 20% students in the higher educations are having the skill to work with the market. Industry is changing at a very fast pace, right from industry 1.0 to now 2.0, and now industry is talking about 5.0. Now everybody is interested that before sitting in my car, the AC should on. Before coming to the bedroom, AC should on. People are talking about washing machines with Wi-Fi connectivity, AC with Wi-Fi connectivity. So industry is changing fast. Technology is changing fast. The question arises about our education system, whether what we are doing. Just for the name and sake of National Credit Framework Policy, just for the name and sake of National Education Policy, and just to follow few mandates received from the UGC as a Vice Chancellor or the school principals, I am changing little bit in the curriculum, and I said that I am NEP ready. My university is NEP ready. But the harsh reality is that nothing is ready, nobody is ready. Really, wonderful, statistics shared by Moderator that students are, spending more time with the technology than the family members, than the friends. Now you remove the WhatsApp, now you remove the phones. They are good in Instagrams. So Instagrams get, metaverse get lots of hype. So students are very, very much with the technology. But whether my teachers or myself or our university system, our education system is smart enough or ready to go with that change. So that's a hard reality that nothing has been changed. Education system is again following the 1970s story only. We are merely changing. Still, I'm talking about Taylor's theorem. I'm still not talking about Ramanujan's theorem, which is the great contribution to the world. Ramanujan has done lots of things in the mathematics, but we are talking about Maclaurin's series in mathematics, Taylor's theorem. Of course, this is all required. I'm not saying it should be removed from the system, but what is the innovation? Where we are going? So how we can think and dare to think about the technological revolutions and all. I had experience during the COVID, many Coursera, Up Academy, Unacademy, many flooded with the technological solutions. Today also there are lots of people from the technology edtech companies were there. So they are really helping a lot. But as a teacher, I personally feel lots of headache. Suppose as a Pro Vice Chancellor, I'm introducing that to, okay, now we are going to introduce new LMS system. XYZ name, I'm not going to promote any brand right now. So my teachers were having again tension, अब नई चीजें फिर से सीखनी पड़ेगी, परेशानी होगी, नहीं देखे तो पुराना system समझ में आया था. So they are not ready to cope up with this technology. So could be a generation gap. Your students is far away, more interested in leveraging with the technology, but the teachers are not ready. So there are multiple questions, but there are really need to change the mindset of the teachers also. Earlier days, the academic staff colleges were working very well. All the universities have the mandate to send their faculty members for at least one orientation program and 2 refresher course for upgrading their position from assistant professor to associate professor and all. Few government universities are following it, but the private universities are saying how we can spare 21 days or 14 days to a teacher? Why we will give the salary for non-teaching days, non-working time? So this kind of attitude of the entrepreneurs, those who are running with the institutions, are again in the market. So that also needs a paradigm change. Thinking also should be changed in that way. But really, the students are very smart. I personally bought Baiju's tape for my kids. So my baby was running to me and showing that, Papa, see, I got some badges. So they have badges for each milestone completed. So some of the time he come with a silver badge. Some of the times he come with a diamond badge, golden badge, bronze badge, and all. So that kind of things are really need to change in the education system, but it needs a serious, revamping and serious counseling of the, first of all the vice chancellor, chancellors, and even the managing director and owner of the institution, that really they want to change or not, or they just want to become a degree, producing institution. I think I have answered the question.
So first of all, I must appreciate your views. Can we have a please a big round of applause for sir? Thank you so much. And I think he exactly nibbed the challenges of technology in today's context. First being, one of the biggest challenges, not every institution, not every college or every university will have access. We're talking big things about, all we know about virtual reality, you need a VR headsets, right? That kind of investment has to go. So not all colleges, universities have. That's one of the challenge. The second challenge, which sir rightly touched, are our academic faculty members trained? Is anybody thinking of training them? Okay. So point is, if we do not train our academicians today, and we'll only cut out a sorry figure in front of our students, they will know probably much more than us. They have all the information available. So I think it's, as rightly sir mentioned, that we have to put all our efforts and ensure that have the right vision where we want to go. Stephen R. Covey said, begin with the end in the mind. So do we want to just run on the mill, just normal college, degree college, or do we want to be top best, top 10? So and then work backwards. Thank you so much, sir, for your views. So my next question to you would be, what are your views on application-oriented assessments? Because in today's context, it's very important that a child not only understands a concept, but he's also practically able to relate and is able to explain. Most of the time as HR, I've been in the HR industry for the last 2.5, 3 decades. When we interview theoretical, yes, they give me theoretical mugging up, good answer. But when I give a practical case study, there is silence, or probably their confidence level drops down drastically. So if you could just share your views, what kind of assessments should be used, and any of your views or any experience on that, sir?
Good afternoon to everyone, all the panel members, all the learners present in this ballroom. Let me share my experience that I have, what we have done in the last 2 years. We have extensively worked for redesigning the assessment plans for the students after the announcement of the new education policy. We have the NEP. NEP clearly states, advocates about the CCE mechanism, that is comprehensive and continuous evaluation and assessment of students based on formative assessments and based on the summative assessments. We are affiliated, we are into the management education from last 20 years. We are affiliated to the state university. What we have observed that students are good in academic scores, but when it comes up about the placement opportunities, they do not able to crack the interviews of the Deloitte, EY or Wipro. Why? Because their assessments are based on the high order thinking questions. That is the main element that has been missing in our academic journey. So what we have done, we have redesigned our assessment. That made us to redesign our assessment plan. We have introduced the diagnostic assessment system. In that diagnostic assessment system, there are the 3 tests we used to conduct at the commencement of the MBA journey of the students. Students coming up into the campus, they are getting the admissions on the basis of MAT scores, CAT scores, having a good scores in MAT, having a good scores in CAT. But when we assess them during the orientation program, we kept 2 days for the purpose of diagnostic assessment of students at the journey of his or her MBA. What we do the tie-ups with the co-cubes, Aeon co-cubes. They designed the 3 modules for us. One is the psychometric assessment test. Psychometric test is based on the FIROB test and the MBTI test that tells about the personality traits of the students at the commencement of the programs. Second is the skill assessment test. That skill assessment test helps the students in identifying what are the strengths and weakness at the starting of the programs students have. And then the third methodology that we have adopted is the career assessment test. In that career assessment test, at the starting of the program, what we do, we try to match the aspirations of the students and parents through that career assessment tools, what actually they need to do during this MBA journey in the next 2 years to achieve their career destinations. What we observed, students do not have the clear career goals at the starting of their MBA journey. So with the help of these faculty mentors and with the help of these rating scales of these assessment tools, we prepare the individual, or the, you can say, the personalized development plans for the students, what actually they need to do, what are the certifications, what are the activities, what are the simulation programs, what are the project-based learning programs in which they need to participate to reach to their career destination. As regards this academic journey, we have developed 5 principles in assessments that is based on like assessment of students within the course, assessment of students between the courses, then comes up the course assessment, program assessment, and institution assessment. So we have created a direct and indirect assessment tools mechanism for assessment of these all 5 principles. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And I think you have taken a lot of initiatives at your institution. And yes, in terms of psychometric, we also need to know that any psychometric test can only eliminate 80% of the chances. It's no psychometric test is 100% foolproof. It's just that 80% we try to be safe, that we don't have the wrong person joining us. But that way, I think, considering the current context, a lot of initiatives. Can we have a big round of applause, please? Thank you, sir. My next question, so probably anybody can share their views. So since you also mentioned about personalized learning, you touched that, so I'm going to pick up the thread from there. The personalized learning will play a very dominant role, and I think the kind of assessments will also have to be personalized. Because today, as you mentioned, every child wants to learn. We know the VAC model of teaching, right? Visual, oral, and kinesthetic. There are different kind of learners. And again, we must also learn to understand the Gardner's multiple intelligence theory. So different students want to learn, have different styles of learning, and it's very important in today's context. With the aid of digital tools, a student is able to learn at his own pace. Similarly, he would want to be assessed. There'll be no kind of physical come and do your assessments. It could be online tomorrow. So what are your views on personalized assessments? And I think it's kind of inevitable in today's scenario. So would like to share?
And the ultimate objective of any kind of education is to personalize the learning experiences. For example, as a teacher, when you enter into the classroom, your attempt would be to make contact with your students. You want to know each and every student who is there. But certainly, I think, as I mentioned earlier, the large size of the class itself actually puts an impediment actually in knowing actually the student, your own student. So therefore, one of the attempts, even as a fresh teacher entering into a class, whom you might not have actually entered into a classroom before that, but you have had an experience of being a learner before that. But certainly you would like your teacher to know you as a student. So therefore, it's a kind of a mutual kind of responsibility on both the student as well as the teacher to know each other, and therefore understand that the classroom is not a homogeneous classroom. A classroom would have a huge diversity in terms of how much each one actually can learn, what they bring actually into the classroom as their experiences, past experiences, and how they would respond to the kinds of lessons that are being taught, no matter actually what that class is, actually whether it is a science class or as a social science class, a humanities class, any kind of classroom. So therefore, I think there are diversities of needs in a classroom, and therefore the onus of knowing your student falls upon the teacher. So therefore, teacher becomes a very critical input. I think there was some references to the teacher training actually in higher education. And what happens in most of these academic staff college refresher courses or orientation courses is to tell the teachers, inform them about the latest improvements, but not about do not let them to introspect. I think as teachers, at times we need to have that space for reflection, whether actually we are able to reach out to the last child in our classroom, whether that child is able to make sense of what is happening within the classroom space. So if we don't do that, then this whole idea of engaging the classroom engagements, engaging with the child and invoking some kind of critical thinking in that child becomes very, very difficult. So therefore, all kinds of classrooms, no matter what that classroom is, or any kind of purpose of higher education or education in general, has to evoke that critical reflection. That's what I believe actually, that we all should try actually, whether it is the EdTech mode or the regular traditional modes of classroom training, So you need to really invoke through your lectures a sense of reflection within the teacher and also within the student. I think ultimately that's what matters.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much. And I think there have been reports which have been published that engaged students perform much better in academic space. Dropouts are less, engagement levels are high as long as student is engaged. And in today's context, we can't talk about engaging a student using our age-old methods. So we have to tweak our styles in terms of adopting technology, keeping ourselves updated to ensure that we are able to have this balance. Today we have smart classrooms available, wherein the teacher teaches and there are cameras placed. Okay, there are about 30 students, there are cameras placed at particular angles. The camera throws out which particular child is distractive, how many times he's looking at the mobile phone, how many times he's moving his neck left, right, how many students are actually focused. Last 10 days back, I was going through LinkedIn and there's another article which popped up. In China, they put a band on every child's forehead. Ultimately, that band tracks the movement and distraction, serious focus, and it pops out a report. Anyway, so these are the changing times. So keeping on to this, I would like to have a next question.
Just to add into it,
Ashish. Please, sir.
As regards this personal learning, what we have observed that like we are affiliated to an university. So most of the universities in the higher education system are completely based on the summative assessment system, whereby the assessments of the students are either at the end of the program or at the end of the semester or the mid-semester assessments. And that is completely based on LOTS. LOTS is basically the low order thinking skills as defined in Bloom's taxonomy. So what we have redefined it, we have adopted this continuous assessment methodology. In that, what we have done, we have created a student's e-portfolio. E-portfolio is it is a backlit profiles we have created, whereby students after each and every activity during the program is assessed, and that progress has been recorded into that e-portfolio. And we, at the end of the program, we also share that e-portfolio with the recruiters. In fact, due to that, earlier we, in the past 2-3 years, we have 1 or 2 placements in Deloitte, but last year we have 6 placements in the Deloitte. So that can be a success that we have observed into our system by inculcating this personal learning, personal assessment system during the course curriculum.
I support that with your permission, that this continuous education system and continuous test, continuous assessment method will be the only solution. Otherwise, if you go for the semester end examination, maximum mid-semester examination, or that will be all the formalities. So why don't we, the educators are using the technologies like Blackboard or other some platforms. You can definitely create the test on the daily basis as well. So go for the evaluation of the students. And if I trust that many of you have the app like SSG in your mobiles, Step Set Go. while walking, while running, while cycling. It records everything. And in the year end or in this after 6 months, they publish a report that this month was the highest number of steps you have taken. This month was marathon month for you, or likewise. So in that way, this e-portfolio will definitely encourage the student. It is equivalent to that badges, getting badges kind of thing. So students will be definitely much excited and more focused towards their education or their study. But the serious question before implementing all this, that our syllabus should be in such a way designed that it should fulfill the requirement of industry 5.0 or 4.0. And if you are creating a difficult assignment, this days ChatGPT is ready to answer. And the faculty member having in the morning somebody was talking about the teaching become a load. So teaching load is there. So it's quite obvious in the private organization. I'm also working in the private organization. Teaching load is must required. I always ask to my dean academics and the other deans also that come with the load, justify the load. Why this faculty has given only 12 hours? He is not having any PhD candidate likewise. So then they are trying to justify that he's involved in NIRF also. He's involved in the NAC compilation also. So many jobs the faculty has to do, and how we can expect that he will daily take a test and daily evaluate this also, right? So now there's not only the students, but the teachers are also not much interested, in just they are interested for delivering. This is complete failure of outcome-based education, right? When we talk about now earlier the days, if you remember, those who are interested to go for MBA, they only need to think about outcome-based education. They have to define the vision, mission of the university, department, school, copy-paste content from internet, this university, that university, and their POCO is ready, right? So nobody is bothering. Even faculty has not been trained for the outcome-based education. So now, as a teacher, my job is eat lots of things and omit in the classroom, right? So that was my story, that I have prepared a lot. 2 hours for 1 hour lecture, I have prepared 3 hours, 2 hours, whatever my capacity, my experience to that particular subject, and just deliver that class. And I also forget, student also forget, right? When the exam will come, the student will remember and give the test. So this should not be done. The teaching should be not only the teaching should be mentoring. And nowadays, as the technology comes, everybody was proudly saying since morning, I heard that Guru has become the facilitator. Guru was becoming converted to teacher, and now the teacher has been converted to facilitator. So students are also not much interested in getting the knowledge. Knowledge becomes, information, and information is easily available everywhere. And they're much familiar with the technologies that if somebody asks what is the name of your father, they're about to Google it. And now they're asked to the ChatGPT. So that kind of harsh reality is there. Serious revamping are required in terms of the curriculum, in terms of teachers' education, teachers' training. Everything is required, but everything is depleted like anything, right? So that's my take on it.
Sure, sir, definitely. And actually, you have rightly nailed it that continuous assessment feedback is extremely important. Today, as HR heads, we have also launched performance appraisals in academic institutions, universities. And gone are the days where they say, "Bhai, HR aayega, ye appraisal hoga, year end mein increment kitna hoga." Today's we have a mixed gen set working in organizations: baby boomers, Gen X, Y, Z, millennials, and our children, alpha generation probably. So today's when we hire the Gen Zs in a workplace, they said, "Ashish, held to you already 1 year increment. You tell me today I'll do a good job. What I'm going to get?" They need feedback probably every 6 months, every quarter, every month, or for the matter every fortnight, every 15 days, because today, even in the academic space, suppose then the faculty is going right or wrong, student feedback matters. When you work in overseas countries, if a student feedback is bad, the door is shown. Let's talk facts. The point over here is how actively we are able to engage our students, how much we are upgraded in our own academic style of teaching, how we actively were able to contribute to the education sector. It makes a lot of difference. My next question would be, in today's context, we have seen, we have heard a lot of students committing suicides, right? Kota, Rajasthan, Telangana, you go for it. 2 months back, we had an unpleasant experience in one of the private universities in North India. A boy shot a girl, right? You can Google, you'll get it. So point is, while we are talking about academics, are we really teaching life skills to our students? Because today I am a strong supporter of sports. And I strongly tell in every forum and every session that please encourage, as education, as faculty members, leaders, please encourage everyone to take 1 or 2 sports in their life. Because sports do not build your character, they reveal your character. Sports teaches you resilience, okay? In today's context, students commit suicide, love, relationship issues, low marks, but a sports person knows how to handle victory, knows how to handle defeat. There is nothing called defeat, it's victory, or you learn something from it. And we talk about decision making. All leaders probably are taking even how quickly we take decisions, but sports people take split-second decisions. If I'm playing badminton, that half a second, fraction of a second, if I'm not going to go pick up the shuttlecock, which shot I'm supposed to play, how I'm going to kind of cheat the opponent in where I'm going to drop. So sports person is thinking very productively, very actively. There are productive hormones going, as sir mentioned. We're talking about gamification and rewards. Your son or your grandson came and he showed you some Byju's thing. Why is that? Because when you do something good, your mind produces positive hormones. Dopamine, which is actually a reward hormone in our body. So my question is, what as education leaders, what are we doing to improve the life skills of our students apart from academics?
No, I think you raised a very important point actually about these student suicides. I think we see that tremendous pressure on the students at every level. And if you look at actually the real statistics, they're really horrifying. If you take you took the case of Kota, in a single year, maybe around 2017 or 16, in the city of Kota, there were more than 60 student suicides. These are all aspirants to engineering and medical entrance examinations. And if you take the IIT system, between 2004 and 2014, there were 63 or close to 70 student suicides. And this was actually, if you look at the student suicides before 2005, there are hardly any. I think maybe at least they were not reported. That was not such a serious trend or an issue. But why is this happening all of a sudden in the new millennium? And the number of seats have been increased, and we actually have more number of seats now, and at the same time, I think we also have more number of students competing for these places. So therefore, the parental pressures, the institutional pressures, the coaching institutions, everything has become coachable. So therefore, we tend to sort of put immense pressure on the child. And therefore, that is where I think I began by saying that examination, that idea of this whole culture of examination is the culprit. And what we ultimately want our child to be is only to be so-called successful. Successful in what? Actually, successful in examinations. So what it does actually, this whole system of higher education does, is to kind of split the student into two binaries: a successful student or the failure. And this whole fear of failure leads the student actually to kind of harm herself or himself. So ultimately, I think, is this the aim of our higher education, or is this the aim of our society as a whole? Do we want our child to kind of take their lives ultimately? Would they not actually perform something else? Could they not do something else where they can be successful? And should they be 80% all the time, or 90% or 100% all the time? So what I am trying to say is that the very fact of assessments has to be seen very differently from what it is now, if you want to change a whole generation of youngsters in this country. If you don't, then I think we are going to be kind of doomed as a society. And I think technology is definitely good, but is that technology isolating the child, or is it actually giving the child a group of peers with whom he or she can share their life experiences, life stories, and then probably I think there's a kind of common sharing of experiences. I think therefore we need to go for fundamental changes. Definitely think the other changes will have to be addressed, and at the same time we need to look at our primary stakeholder, the student in our college or university, and their well-being and their mental health all the time. If you don't, I think what is this higher education for? If we don't have our own child within our family, what is this family for? Ultimately, I'm sorry for asking these serious questions.
Sure, sir. And last but not the least, as I'd just like to add on by saying there has been research by Carnegie Institute of Technology which proves that whatever you teach in colleges and schools, okay, say a Pareto principle 80-20, your academic IQ contributes only 20%. 80% of your success depend on your emotional quotient. Today, CEOs are hired for their IQs. You get a good degrees, everything, good job, take the offer letter. But they're fired for lack of EQs. So it's very important that we have an overall development of the students in terms of EQ and IQ so that we make them best leaders for our nation, for our organizations, for all of us, for all of the society around. Thank you so much. I leave the
last one I wish to add on this one, that there are not only higher education system or the education system who are involved or culprit for all these suicide cases and all. There are many other aspects like family members, we the parent, we the society always interested for the results. Ramanujam got failed in all the subjects. Sachin Tendulkar also got failed in many subjects, but he was a good cricketer. If you give the bat to Lata Mangeshkar, she could not played well. So why don't we understand our expectation? इंसान कल एक बात सिखाई आंखों के नीर ने इंसान को पीर बना दिया इंसान के पीर ने, और जो देख रहा था चिड़ियों को चुगते हुए दाना उठा के फेंक दिया कटोरा उस फकीर ने। वो एटीट्यूड हम अपने बच्चों के अंदर नहीं ला पा रहे हैं। वो बस हम प्रेशर दिए जा रहे हैं कि वो बस रिजल्ट भी लेकर के आओ, ये भी करके लाओ, ये भी करो एंड विद द हेल्प ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी बाद में वो टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ अकेले हो जा रहे हैं और जा करके उस टेक्नोलॉजी का मिसयूज कर करके कहीं और परेशान होकर के finally they got the solution कि let's quit, and quitting is the solution, and that's not the solution.
In one line, just in one line.
No worries.
The biggest culprit, according to me, is the summative assessment systems that we have in the higher education.
That's a postmodern, actually. Absolutely. In the interest of time, we have one question. Ladies
Hi.
and gentlemen. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Colonel Vishal. Thanks for inviting me, and it's been a pleasure, hearing you guys. I just want to tell you that, as you said, the leadership qualities are basically ingrained and learned not in the indoors, but actually in the outdoors. So there've been situational awareness, and there'll be situations where others will cry, but the real leader is the one who, when the chips are down, that is the time that he's going to take the whole pack with him. So there've been so many instances in our life also where we've been in operations and so many things have happened. But then if you keep your mental cool, and this comes with a lot of mental toughness, with actual mental training outside, and I'm sure with that it's a main thing what we lack in our syllabus. So I'm sure if some kind of a outdoor training or a mental toughness exercise are also given, it'll be a huge personality, thing which is going to be welfare to everybody.
Actually, sir, sports teachers, discipline, time management, self-management, everything.
Yeah, I'm Dr.
Ma'am,
Mani
can we
for
take this question?
Arora
Just a
from-
minute, just hang on.
If it's a question, we'd like to take it.
I'm from Department of Psychology, and actually this is belonging to I'm from University of Delhi. So just wanted to tell you in one line, emotional self-regulation, which is actually missing in our children, because in a click we are getting shopping things. In a click, we are doing everything. Our neurons are depleting, and due to that, our dopamine levels are reducing. So the only way that we can improve is not about the pressure that we are having from the parents. It's also about the lifestyle. It's also about creating patience, which we are not doing. And that is because everything is there in a click, and we are in the virtual world. So that's the answer. Thank you so much.